Hi everyone, my name is Lauren Urbonis and I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I have a very exciting edition of Show Me How It's Done for you this week. So this is my weekly episode where I show you a fun little product or technique and you just get to play along with me. Unfortunately, you will not be able to play along with me for this week's video because I am going to be showing you something from the new January to April mini catalog. So I know this is very exciting. And hopefully you'll just be able to kind of enjoy the sneak peek and come back and create these cards with me when the catalog is available. So just a little emptive blurb about this. I'm unfortunately not able to show you anything inside the catalog. I can't open up the pages and show those on screen. However, we are allowed to show any product that we've received or any projects that we've made with that. So I had the pleasure of presenting at one of our local events. We were in Vancouver last Saturday and I was asked to present a really adorable suite. So I actually have most of the pieces from that suite here and I can show them to you, and I'll actually even talk about them a bit more than I usually do, because I have that presentation still in my head and you won't have the materials in front of you or even the catalog to refer to and kind of fill in the blanks as we usually do. So you will also notice that while there will be a supply list listed in my description, it won't have item numbers or prices yet, simply because I don't know if that's a gray area. I don't know if I'm allowed to share that stuff too, because you won't be able to order it. You will be able to order starting January 5th if you are a customer, and if you are a demonstrator, you can actually start ordering, I believe, December 1st in a little pre-order. But if you are somebody in Canada and you do not have a demonstrator, I would love to help you out. Please message me right away. Before the end of November, I need to have my mailing list all ready to go so that I can send you a copy of this catalog in December so that you're ready to shop starting in January. Another thing that will be starting January 5th is our celebration promotion. And so for anyone who loves celebration, that basically means for every $60 or every $120, there are items in here that you can receive for free. Again, as I receive some of my pre-order things, which I don't have anything besides this suite, I will do more videos to kind of share with you what I can before January and get you prepared. And we'll talk about this a little bit more, but I'm bringing it up now because if you're in Canada and you need a catalog, message me your address right away. I will put you on my mailing list and we'll get you set up so that you can receive these catalogs. Okay, so on to the fun. So you're never quite sure what you're gonna get when Stamping Up. Somebody calls you and they're like, hey, would you like to present? And if you're smart, the answer is just yes, because it's just never going to be a bad thing what they bring up. And it's also, for me, a really good personal challenge to kind of sometimes step out of my box and play with things that I might not expect. But anyways, I was so delighted when I was presented with the Playing in the Rain suite. So this is the stamp set for the suite, and as you can see, it is absolutely adorable. You've got some main focal images with your little fox and bunny and your turtle. You've got some complementing images here for scenes, and then of course we've got our sentiments. So I thought this was a really well-rounded set because I can use it both for encouragement, celebration, and then Valentine's is coming up after Christmas, so a little bit of romance in there as well. So make sure to just step out of your box and see kind of the full potential that a set can bring you. So this is the Playing in the Rain stamp set, and there are dies that coordinate with it as well. So this is the Playing in the Rain die set. You can see I just stamped a few of the images from the stamp set because there's coordinating cutouts for those figures. There's also coordinating cutouts for some things like our clouds, the flowers, the umbrella, and the puddle. And then the die set also has a really fun little set of build-it-yourself kite pieces. There's a bridge, and then also some natural elements. We've got our little grass and a stump and some butterflies. So it's a really, really fun set. It's got a lot of whimsy and nature kind of combined all in one. And it fits in the mini cut and emboss machine. So if you own the large one or the mini one, you will be able to use all of the dies in this set for your creating. The only thing that you won't be able to use the mini machine for is the embossing folder that I'll show you later, and that's not out of the norm. Usually they are larger, but the dies themselves you can use with the mini cut and emboss machine. My favorite part of every suite is often the paper, and this time was no exception. So the Rain or Shine Specialty Designer Series paper comes in 12 by 12 sheets. You will get 2 of each of the patterns. So I've shown the front side and the back side of each of the pages. And I don't know if you can tell, but there is a really, really cute, just look for a little shine, I don't know. There's a really cute UV coating on the front side of every page. So you'll find it in the little like black here, the black, and even the umbrella. I can notice it quite a bit on my rainy day images. So once you get it and once you play, because I've worked really hard to get rid of some of the glare today, and it's worked. So you can't see it really well right now, but this paper is amazing. It's so adorable. It does coordinate with some of the dies. So you'll have a full sheet of this page, for instance, that has full-size characters of the fox, the turtle, and the bunny, all spaced throughout. And you can use your dies to cut those out. You can also use dies on some of the umbrellas, some of the clouds, a couple of the puddles. So it's a really, really fun complementary paper, which I always love getting. There are also, of course, pages that you can use just to decorate. We have a few smaller characters here, and in my presentation I kind of made the point that if you're using the bridge, for instance, the large characters, they kind of need to be placed on either side of the bridge or just kind of as a complementing image. These small little guys, if you had the patience to fussy cut them out, they're small enough to fit on a bridge, so it looks like a really nice scene with your character on a bridge. So those are some fun options for you. I'm going to show you a few samples too, so that you'll be able to maybe put this in your brain a little bit more. And then of course you've got your rainy day scenes, which you can use as backdrops, and this full-size 12 by 12 paper, which it's my last one because when you're sent stuff to present, you get one package of paper, and so I had to save it because I really wanted to show you guys today in my video how I made a set of cards that I presented. So we're going to use this paper today, but I do have 2 more things to show you from the suite. There is an embossing folder. This is the Raindrops embossing folder, and I just embossed it on a piece of cardstock so you could kind of see maybe a little bit better than the folder itself. But this one's really funny because I had to figure this out for myself. When you look at the folder, the raindrops are kind of upside down. So make sure you don't just take paper out of your embossing folder and plunk it on the card in that direction. We want fat little raindrops. But what I love about these raindrops is they vary in size and shape, or well, not really in shape, but in size and location across the folder. So you can use this, of course, to add a bit of texture, but it gives a really natural look because the rain is always different. It's never the same size raindrop, and it's never the same direction all the time. So it's a really great folder for a kind of a natural rainy background for you. And then the last thing that's part of this suite is this really fun set of loose daisy embellishments. So these guys, I don't really want to pop it open. They might go flying on me, just knowing my luck. They have 2 different color combinations in there. So we've got Flirty, Flamingo, and so Saffron, and then we've got White, and so Saffron, and of course we've got that greenery, which kind of looks like shaded spruce to me. So I think it might come in varying shades of green. There's a few different, so between Old Olive and Shaded Spruce is kind of the coloring of these loose daisy embellishments. And they're really, really nice just to add a dot of glue and kind of add as an embellishment, or you can use a pinch of them and make a shaker card. So keep tuned for that card because we will play with that idea later. So that is the Rain or Shine suite, and I hope you guys enjoyed the little sneak peek of it because I didn't want to wait to share it with you. I figured, you know, might as well let you enjoy it too. So I need to get myself situated. We need that piece. And the rest of these, I'm just going to gently move out of our way. Oh, sorry. Throwing things all over the place. Here we go. Okay. You guys ready to get crafting? Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to make a series of 3 cards because usually I do 1 card, but you know, I got a little carried away and I had so much fun with this suite that we're going to make 3 cards with it. Okay, so you will need a Stampin' Up! Trimmer, and then what we're going to do is we're going to start with this full sheet, and my screen is zoomed in very, very tightly this morning. But that's okay. My husband and I were kind of playing in here last night with things. I actually think it might be nicer for you guys because you can see a lot of detail. Okay, so measure twice, cut once. This is always what we do, right? Okay, so this is that full sheet. My cards feature this sky and flower area, but of course we're going to show you a card later that has kind of the top section and the bottom section used so you know they're not going to waste. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper and turn it so that when it's in my little trimmer, I've lined my cloud section, and I made you a big bright post-it to the 3.5 inch mark. Okay, so that's what we want to do. Make sure it's at the 3.5. Then we're going to trim that whole sky section right off. Okay. So you've got a whole sky section. You can just take this and set it to the side. We'll show you something later that you can use that for. And then, of course, this is still too long for a card front, so we're going to turn it all the way around and chop off some of the flowers. Again, I've made you a really giant post-it here. We're lining up to 3 1/4 inches. Okay, so 3 1/4 inches. Right there. I do apologize if you're watching from somewhere that does centimeters. I'm really bad at actually giving you guys the centimeter measurement. So I hope that you're able to kind of just jot these down and then convert them yourselves. Maybe one day I'll get better at that. So I apologize if you're somewhere else. This guy can set aside as well. So you're not done with your trimmer yet. We're actually going to chop this piece into 3 equal card fronts. And of course, this is 12 inches across. So if we cut at the 4-inch mark, that will give us 3 equal card fronts. So card number 1, lining up and chopping. Card number 2, lining up and chopping. Okay, so these 2 plainer ones we're going to set aside, and then just to save yourself some time so that you don't have to come back and do this later, you do actually have to trim one of the pieces down a little bit more, because when we turn this into a shaker card, you want to see a little bit more of the background of the card that we're going to painstakingly design a bit. Okay, so I am going to trim a little bit off the bottom here. So I think what I'll do is I'll line this up to the 5 inch mark, and just trim that 1/4 inch off. And then I need to line the side. Don't chop your clouds. You want those. You want to line this to 3 3/4. Okay. So this little piece here is 3 3/4 by 5. That's what this should be. And this is card number 3. So keep this one aside because you'll see why. Okie dokie. Let's go get the rest of our pieces set. So we also need some card bases. I have chosen to use Balmy Blue, and I have 3 of them. They're all the same, cut to 5.5 by 8.5. And I'm going to go ahead and score those at 4 1/4 so that I can make 3 card fronts. Okay, so they'll all end up folding like this. Those are my card fronts. I always like to have something on the inside of my card, so I have 3 card inserts that measure 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I think right now would probably be a good time for me just to go ahead and add all 3 of those to the inside of my card, because then we don't have to come back and do it later. Okay, and I will warn you, we're maybe going to be a little longer on our video today just because I'm showing you 3 full cards, but hopefully you're okay with that. And you can always come back and watch the rest of this once you've purchased the Playing in the Rain set, because I know you're going to want it. And on that note, if you're in Canada, I'm going to have a very special class that you can participate in via mail, and I'll send you a video tutorial, or if you're in Edmonton, you can come to my house as well. So I will give you the details of that as I'm showing you. I'm going to actually show you a few of the cards we're going to make at that class. I'm not going to show you all of them because I'll probably add a few more, but I will give you the details for how you can register for that, and you can actually register anytime, but I don't have a date yet picked, so it'll be in January, so I'll announce that right away on my Lauren Scrapblock Facebook page, right? Should have had the date, but I had to check on an appointment. Okay, there we go. There's all of our card inserts right there. All good to go. So now you just need one of them. Okay, we're going to play with one of these at a time. And let's start with card number 1. Okay, so card number 1 is going to be this little guy. So what we're going to do is we're going to play with our designer paper and add a little bit of a decal and have a really adorable looking card here. So I'm going to close this up and probably just give a nice little fold. I'm going to take one of my card backs and add some tape to that. You can pop this up if you want, but I'm already popping up my decal and my bunny. So I figured maybe I just will do a flat background here. Don't have to trim this one down anymore because it's already cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And it's ready to go. So I've got my card front, and then I really love these stylish shapes dies, these circles here. So you just go ahead and cut 3 of them. The one that we're going to use on this card is going to be plain. The other 2 I've embossed with the Raindrop embossing folder, but of course, I think on this sample I actually did do raindrops, and then I realized, well, if I'm stepping the cards up, I probably shouldn't expect you to own everything all at once. So stylish shaped circles, this is the 3rd largest in the set. So go ahead and cut 3 of them out right now, just so you have them. And we're gonna pop this one up on dimensionals. We can find some dimensionals to use in this lovely mess. Oh, here's a full sheet. There we go. There. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now the fun part about this paper that I mentioned was you actually can pop one of the bunnies straight out of the paper, and that's what I did on my sample. You can see the adorable little bunny came right from this slot. I just used the dies and I was able to cut that out. But of course, if you are making a lot of these cards, or you're like me and you had 1 pack of paper to work with for your samples and things, you're gonna have to get creative and use the stamp, make your own. So I ended up cutting out 3 little bunnies. I colored these guys. So all I did was I stamped a bunny in Memento Black Ink, and then I colored it with a couple of our blends. So I'll just quickly show you that. So we're just gonna ink up our little bunny with Memento Black, stamp, and I'm just using Old Olive. So I've got the Old Olive that I'm gonna use for the jacket. This I'm actually working in reverse. I usually just work from light to dark. This time I'm gonna put my dark all over the jacket. So I like to just give myself a little perimeter, and then you can start coloring. This is a brand new marker, so it's so juicy. That's why I'm not using the other end. It's hard to color when it's in front of me. A little further out. Okay, here we go. So there's my bunny jacket. This is the dark old olive. And then actually what I'm going to do is take the light old olive and just scribble in the middle of the jacket. And it's going to end up kind of just giving a couple different tones to my jacket. It'll, as the colors kind of blend together, end up with kind of, do you see it's already fading a little bit, that whitewashed look? So that's what your either color lifter or the lighter color can do. It'll just kind of push some of the darker color out of its way. Say, let me in. And then I just grabbed the light Flirty Flamingo because I wanted to kind of replicate this little bunny. So I'm going to do her little nose, some ear tips, and a little cheek. There we go. And some feet. And you don't need to worry about cutting out the puddle, because I forgot to mention the die set. They kind of have a really good rain or shine theme. So the dies, they don't cut out the puddle with the bunny. So it's your choice whether the bunny's dancing on grass or dancing in a puddle. And then of course you can either place the bunny on the grass or cut out a little puddle if you want to fill in that scene a little bit more. So then for the sake of time, I'm not going to cut this one out on screen. That's just how I colored him or her. And we can go ahead and put this onto our card with dimensionals. So there's little bunny. Keep in mind the little ear doesn't really land on your circles, so keep your dimensionals kind of in the center. Oops, there we go, center of the bunny's body. Like so. And then the bunny is just going to go on like this. Now, to add your sentiment, I chose the Oh Happy Day, and I just wanted to make this one simple again. So I'm grabbing my Memento Black Ink. Just tap, 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 because this is really juicy. And then I don't want to mess this up, so I guess I could look in my camera. Oh Happy Day, right in the sky. And then if you're making this set along with me, wash this guy right away, because we're actually going to be using that on a future couple cards. So, washing that stamp, just with my lovely, isn't it lovely, my chamois. That's definitely seen better days, but this thing is great. You can just rinse it out with water anytime it kind of starts getting gucky, and yeah, the color's dyed, but it's fine. And then I know some people, they throw it in their dishwasher too. So here is card number 1. I don't know why the camera's focusing differently. Here we go. Just hold this up for you. Card number 1. There. Cute little bunny. Just dancing in the flowers. All right, now on to card number 2. So card number 2, I definitely made a little bit more avid, so there's quite a few steps here, but that's okay. We're still going to have a lot of fun with it. We've got pieces for a build-it-yourself kite. We've got some embossing up in the sky, and then we've got that same basic layout with our bunny. So what I want to do is just kind of walk you through how you would build the kite. I'm not actually going to build everything because I completely forgot to cut that out. So that's okay. I don't want to take up all of your time. Let me show you how I did the skyline. So you'll notice on our paper on this one here, it doesn't have any clouds. So all you need to do is grab a scrap, of course, to work on. Grab your Versamark ink and grab the bunny, or I mean the cloud stamp from our set. So this guy can just add your own clouds to the scene. Maybe before you do that, add your sentiment too, or we can add that after. Doesn't matter. I'm going to do the sentiment first because then I know it fits. oh, happy day. And then some clouds in the sky, probably kind of up here. Okay, white embossing powder would be exactly what you need to use in order to replicate the clouds. So I actually had the piece of paper that had some clouds originally, and then I added the second set, and you can see they're very similar. It's hard to kind of tell the difference, and I think that's exactly what Stampin' Up! Wanted. So if you wanted to add more clouds, you could, and it'd be very challenging to know which ones came on the paper and which ones you added yourself. So once you're happy with this, we're going to go ahead and heat it. We'll notice that the white's going to turn from kind of a really powdery look to a really glossy look. Oh, if I'm plugged in. Nope, I'm not plugged in. What happens when your husband's playing around with things while you're gone? Let me plug in. I'm filming. You can talk to me in a few more minutes, please. You didn't ask you to turn the TV. There we go. I'm sorry, guys. I have kids home today. Give me 1 second. All right, gotta love those days where school's not in session, but it's, you know, life's gotta happen. Okay, so here's the background for this card. That's how I made it. The rest of the card is pretty much the same, so I would have taken our card front, and actually for this one I did pop it up on dimensionals, so that gets popped up on my card, and then I added the bunny and the stylish shaped circle, which I mentioned earlier I embossed, and then the kite. This is the fun part about the kite. So I've made a little chart to show you how I built it, because often if I'm working in front of you, sometimes it's kind of hard to see what I've done. So I ended up thinking a kite to show you guys instead how I put that together. Okay, so here we go. We've got my little card front all popped up. For the kite, you're going to start by using all the dies, these are all die pieces, and cutting one solid kite out. And then if you want one color in the center of your kite, you're just going to have to use the die once, and it'll give you a solid color in this section. But if you want the two tones, all you do is you cut 2 different colors out, you'll chop them in half, and then you can add one to the bottom and one to the top of the kite, and that gives you that kind of 2-tone kite. You could either go, you can even go a step further and, you know, cut another kite base and make your color different, you know, by chopping kind of a section off there, but that might be too complicated. Your little ties here. Okay, this is the most exciting thing probably about this die set for me, is that it comes in 1 die. So you run it through 1 time, you get 3 bows. Instead of me sitting there having to line up 3 different little bows, it all cuts out in 1 shot. And I attach those just with a dot of glue. That's going to be the easiest thing to do after you've attached this kite to the card. Okay, so pop the kite base up on dimensionals and then kind of just let it rest on your circle. You can kind of put a dot of glue under there if you wanted. Here, let me move that. And then you can also add the ties kind of once it's set in place for you. Now, those ties from the die, they're great for your kite, of course. And then if you wanted to use them a step further, you've got the option of making a little bow tie for a bunny or a hair ribbon as well. So lots of fun potential with that little set of dies. So there is card number 2. Of course, you'll have to go and add those pieces for yourself, but that's okay. All right, card number 3. Okay, this one is my like ultra avid card. So this one's going to take a little bit more time, a little bit more love and care, but we are going to make a shaker card for this one here. And what I realized I forgot to do is grab one of those little envelopes. So give me a second. We need a clear medium envelope for this card. We need our Balmy blue card base. We also need a piece of basic white cardstock that I cut to 5 1/8 by, let me give you the exact measurement. This one's 3 3/4, so we would like this one at 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And I don't know if you can tell, I used our cloud embossing folder on this one, thinking that, oh, like that would be cute to add, you know, because I'm going to emboss a little cloud scene in the back. But to be honest, it doesn't really add much. You're barely seeing the border here, so it's up to you. If you want to add it, you can, but you don't have to. Before we start attaching things together, you're going to have to do a little bit more embossing. So I'm going to do that on my card front first here. Same idea as card number 2. We're first going to add a sentiment in whatever empty space you might have. And then there's lots of space for you to add another cloud set right in here. Okay, so this is going to get embossed with the white embossing powder. And before you heat this up, we can go ahead and get our other pieces ready too. Okay, so there's that. And then you're going to actually take your Balmy blue card base and we're going to stamp some clouds all around the perimeter. So it looks really cute if you wanted just to leave it, you know, with the Versamark. But if you want to go a step further, we're going to go crazy and stamp clouds all around the back here. You don't need to worry about that center section because, you know, it's going to get covered. And okay, so these guys, you're going to need to have a little bit of fun here, but we're going to put our embossing powder all over that. One side, and then probably the middle section here. There we go. Okay, then I like to kind of just flip it over and just flick down a little bit. That will get some of my extras off, and you should have your scene ready to go. So this is ready. One more thing that you would like to emboss, of course, is going to be, do you remember this extra strip that we had before? You can actually emboss in some of these empty areas to buy yourself a few more clouds. So it's a really fun kind of technique, and that's how I ended up getting more clouds here than I actually had originally. So I'm gonna just emboss right onto this piece and get kind of as many clouds out of that as I can. So that'll buy me 2 big, like medium-sized clouds. This will buy me a big cloud. And then when you start cutting these out, you'll have lots of potential for the different clouds that you want to use. Okay. You can, of course, use the whole sheet and do things like that on here or cut out those clouds with your die. But I do suggest maybe saving this page because we're going to use most of it for a fun little extra card. All right, so let's go ahead and start heating up these pieces. Kind of turning shiny. And last but not least, want that base. Go. Okay, so here's our really fun card. We've got our base, but we're going to build the shaker card first. Okay, so on the back of your patterned paper, we need to add some adhesive, and this one needs to be a flat adhesive. So tape, and make the tape go all the way around the edge, because this, you don't want the little daisies to kind of sneak into any space in there and get stuck. So we actually do want to seal this designer paper up and give a full perimeter with our tape. Okay, so you've got your tape. We're going to take that off and add this now to the white piece that I embossed with, you know, the cloud folder, but will look great just with white as well. So here we go. Here's our clouds. And you're barely going to see that background because we've kind of cut it so tiny, and that's okay. We don't really want much of the white. We just wanted it to break up our card a little bit. So there you go. This piece is going to get slipped inside, oops, I've got a hair, our clear envelope. Okay, so you can tuck it into one of the corners here, and it doesn't matter which one. If you want to go to the left, go ahead, but make sure it's snug in one of the corners. Then you're going to add some of these loose daisy embellishments. So this is the container I was afraid of exploding all over me, but we'll try it. Here we go. Face it away from yourself. Oh, yeah. There you go. Okay. Loose daisy embellishments. We're going to just take a pinch. If you really want to measure, grab a little measuring spoon and put about 1/4 of a teaspoon in here. But we're just going to be fun and put a little pinch of them in the front of our card here, okay? And kind of just rest them into that corner you've tucked everything in so that we can do the rest of our work without worrying about them being in the way. And then after that, you can kind of spread them out from there. So turn this over. Keep tucked, please. On the back of our card, we're now going to put tape across the top of this basic white piece of paper. Okay, and this is going to help us when we take this top sealing section off to stay sealed all the way across the top part of the card as well. Okay, so take that off and take the adhesive off your envelope. When you're closing it, you'll notice there's probably a bit of air in here. So work on a flat surface like a desk or a table. And you do want to press gently so that you get kind of most of the air out. If you've got a huge air pocket, then your poor card is going to look like a bubble on the front. But if you have no air, your little embellishments are going to have trouble moving, okay? So don't like squish it, don't roll all the air out. Just gently place your hand over top so the air mostly disperses out of the way. Turning your card, we now want to get rid of this ugly little section. So we're going to put tape on that white piece of paper once again, and that's going the whole length of this white side. And I'm going to fold these up and over like this. So again, you might have a little bubble, just kind of gently press. Now this one we want to put onto our card front, but if you'll notice, I made a little kind of error in my folding. So what you can do is just take your trimmer, your little snips, and just kind of cut that teeny tiny little section off so you're not going to see it from the front. Okay, so otherwise it'll bother us. This guy here, we need to put lots of dimensionals on this piece because the weight of our card, unlike most of the cards that we make, it's actually going to shift depending on where those daisies are sitting. So if they're sitting in the bottom, then there's more weight down there. If they're sitting in the top, then vice versa. So this time, make sure to be generous. Use lots of dimensionals so that you've kind of supported your card as much as possible. There we go. And then I'm going to put this onto the front of my card. And this is why we trimmed this piece down, because I didn't want all your embossing work to go to waste. I wanted you to be able to see some of those little clouds there, okay? And then to finish this card, I'm gonna leave that again up to you, just because in this instance, you guys will have had to kind of watch this card and then prep later. So I'm gonna leave this up to you that, of course, you'd add your little decal with the bunny, you'd build a secondary kite, and then you would have taken some of these clouds and used our dies to cut them out. So I actually have a few of those left in my envelope here, extra scraps, and I would just pop them up with dimensionals. So these extra little cloud pieces, some of them are going to be partial clouds, and that's good. You want some partial clouds kind of in the top and all over the place. So you might even decide to cut some of the clouds apart and kind of play with them that way. But your cloud is going to look, your scene is going to look different than mine, depending on which clouds you picked. So whatever works for you. I think that's all the clouds I have extras of, but I'd probably add another one up here as well. Maybe like that guy looks really cute. So just pop a couple of them out with dimensionals and it'll add to your scene. The last thing that you can do if you'd like to is add a little embellishment to the bunny's ear. So I've taken one of my loose daisy embellishments and just a dot of glue on her ear. And added that right to the top there. And then you can see I have daisies way up in the sky right now. As you move the card around, they'll shift. So it's totally up to you how you end up finishing this card off. But I'll bring back all three of them again so you can kind of see the little trio and hopefully maybe try and replicate them yourselves when this set comes in for you. So we've got card number 1, where you're kind of introducing yourself to the paper. We've got card number 2, where we've embossed in the sky and added a little kite. And then card number 3, where we went so crazy that we did all of the above, as well as made a shaker card and popped some of these up on dimensionals too. So lots and lots of potential for fun. Are you ready to see a few more samples? Okay, so as I mentioned, I did make a card that used that top and bottom of the paper. So this is going to be one that's part of my rainy day class in January. So if you'd like more information about that, basically I just have to finalize the details, but I will have both an option for you to purchase just the class or an option that you can have the stamp or bundle as well too. And I can mail those anywhere in Canada. You get a video tutorial, or you can come to my house and complete them too. So this will be part of that class. And then here's a few more projects that basically I will, there might even be a couple more, but here's one that I'll do in the future for another Show Me How It's Done video. Here's one that we'll do at the class. It's a fun fold little pinwheel card, so you can kind of look down the center at that one. And then here's just a few more samples that I made for our display boards. So I think we'll probably just do most of them at the class, or I'll have the pieces cut and you can do them however you wish, because the designing's all done. And there might be a couple others that I haven't shown, but it's going to be really full. If you're not in Canada, don't worry. You can just enjoy the pictures, and I will do the Show Me How It's Done video on at least one, maybe two of these projects in the future. But I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek of this suite, and just to kind of treat you to an almost like Stampin' Up! Like presentation with it as well. So enjoy. I hope you're excited. Make sure to message me if you need catalogs, and message me if you have any questions as well. I will see you guys next week for our weekly edition of Show Me How It's Done. Make sure to like and subscribe so that I know you're watching, and so that I can see your comments too. Sometimes if you're not subscribed, they don't show up till like way later, then I miss them. So I'll see you guys later. Bye!